Hey everyone, and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a breaking news report coming out from Russia, and today I have some critical information to share with you that appears to show how Russian President Vladimir Putin has found another way to call up more troops to fight in Ukraine without declaring nationwide mobilization. Let's go over this news story here on your screen. Russian government authorizes reservists to be called up during peacetime. Russia's cabinet of ministers has approved a draft law allowing individuals from the mobilization reserve to be deployed beyond Russian territory during armed conflicts. Now, this is a very big story just coming out today. Allegedly, Russian media was reporting this, which I think is interesting because a lot of mainstream news is not picking up this story at all. Apparently, the Russian government has approved a new draft law that would allow Vladimir Putin to call up mobilization reservists not only during war or formal mobilization, but also during peacetime. Now, obviously, right now, we know that the war in Ukraine is not being declared as an actual war. They're calling it a special military operation. I'm going to show you guys some details with this article today that talks about this, because this could be anywhere from upwards of 2 million to 5 million troops that could be mobilized if Russia utilizes these mobilization reserves. So, very big story today with this change with their government. Let's talk more about this. Let's hop on over to a mainstream news report from United 24 Media. It says Russia drafts law allowing Putin to mobilize reservists in peacetime. This is coming out today, October 13th, 2025. You can see right here. And the information reads, the Russian government has approved a draft law giving Russian leader Vladimir Putin the authority to call up mobilization reservists not only during war or formal mobilization, but also in peacetime, the Moscow Times reported, citing Russian state media on October 13th. It is important to note that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has proceeded without a formal declaration of war, with Moscow describing it as a special military operation under Russian law. Under the proposed rules, citizens enrolled in the mobilization reserve could be tasked with defense-related duties during armed conflicts, counter-terror operations, or when Russian forces are deployed abroad. These call-ups, termed special military assemblies, would be authorized directly by Putin. Okay, so from what I understand from this, Putin can call up Russian reservists that signed a contract with the Russian military to be called up to basically fight inside of Ukraine. Or something that I was thinking about is, let's say Russia were to launch an attack onto maybe the Baltic nations and go after NATO. They would obviously need a lot more troops, right? Because they've got roughly about 700,000 is being reported fighting inside of Ukraine. Then they would need hundreds of thousands, if not millions more, to fight against NATO. So something I was thinking about is I hope we don't see a war break out between NATO and Russia now. Now that we're getting information coming out like this, that they're going to tap into their reserves. So, but clearly, this really shows that Russia wants to continue the fighting inside of Ukraine, even if these forces are not going to be used to be deployed against NATO. They will obviously be sent to Ukraine, because it talks about here that they'd be tasked with defense-related duties during armed conflicts, counter-terror operations, or when Russian forces are deployed abroad. And obviously, right now, they're fighting inside of Ukraine. So most likely, that's what these forces will be called up for, as we know that the Russians are taking huge losses inside of Ukraine as they continue to attack. Finally, it says here the law would only apply to those who have signed a contract with the Ministry of Defense to serve in the reserve. Currently, legislation allows reservists to be used only during wartime or mobilization, with no provisions for peacetime deployment, according to the Moscow Times. The draft amends federal acts, including the laws on defense, military service, and the status of servicemen, introducing special assemblies as a third category of military gatherings alongside training and inspection assemblies. Such assemblies would be limited to a maximum of 2 months. The legislation also proposes additional payments for reservists participating in special assemblies, further incentivizing peacetime service. Isn't that interesting? So they're going to incentivize people to join the reserve forces for Russia that could possibly be sent to Ukraine, and they're going to offer them additional payments for doing so. So another way to kind of invite more people to join into the reserves that would obviously be sent to Ukraine and maybe beyond. It says previously it was reported that Vladimir Putin signed a decree for the 2025 autumn military draft running from October 1st to December 31st, according to a decree posted on the official Russian government legal portal. Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Vladimir Putin did sign a new decree for the autumn military draft. I think it was somewhere around 135,000, give or take. Could have been more than that if I'm mistaken, but it was a very large number. And I think it was one of the largest amounts of troops that have been called up for this military draft coming this autumn. So yeah, we know that Russia clearly wants to continue the fighting inside of Ukraine. This is more show of that. And we know that Russia does not want to declare this as an actual war throughout the entire war the last 3 years here in Ukraine. They've always considered it a special military operation. They refuse to call it a war. And, this is what they have to do. If they want to continue the fighting over there, they got to call up more troops. And now they want to dip into these reserve troops, which I did research online to see how many reserve troops that Russia actually has. Google was telling me somewhere around 2 million. Some people on X were indicating that Russia could have upwards of 5 million. So this could really be a lot of troops that get called up inside of Russia if they happen to move forward with this. And it looks like they're going to, considering that this new draft law has been passed and approved. So very big news. We're going to be hearing more information about more troops showing up to the front lines. I'm curious to see how these reserve troops in Russia are going to respond to this, as they most likely will be called up for duty and training and eventually sent over to the front lines inside of Ukraine. So crazy news, guys. Just want to give you this information coming out from Russia today, directly out of their state media. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.